BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer.
About even my practice right now.
That's the point of the podcast. I think it's you start to doing 50 minutes of podcast of experience with someone, and from 50 minutes I cannot really say okay, there are 50 minutes, fuck, I have to stop, sorry L'Oreal, I have to stop you, I have to cut you off now. It's like always breaking the rules in a way.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. I just want to say thank you for, challenging, or not, I don't even want to say challenging, but asking a question that kind of maybe contradicted something I was saying. Granted, I'm a firm believer in all the things I was saying, but you're questioning, like, do you really see yourself in these images when I say self-portraiture? And you've just brought me back to like the base of how I thought about my work, like nearly 10 years ago. That it's now making me think, why is it that I just instantly would say something like, oh, these are self-portraits, when I had never in the beginning of my presenting work. And
so let's keep a challenge now. I'm thinking about, I challenge you now, and I say you, okay, let's do it a publication, uncut, really uncut. Doing a picture during these months without constructing anything, just taking picture, and we put down something and we see how we challenge in a way your way to work, because I really feel that you could do it raw picture really good, because you have when you construct a picture, you do it really good. So then I think it's there. In a way or another, also if you don't construct a picture, they are already constructed inside of your mind. So automatically when you will take the camera in your hand, and also even if you don't watch inside, you will have the straight line, and you will have a kind of a perspective, and this is something I'm curious about. And another thing I'm really curious about is how would you portray the life, for example, with your partner? This is another thing I think it's
yeah, really... absolutely. That's a great question. How would I portray it? And instead of, I'd maybe want to switch those words, instead of wondering how would I portray it, because portrayal means you're presenting a portrayal of something, but how would I just capture our everyday or a moment, or how you're even asking in the beginning, like the intimacy or something. This is something I must think about, but it's so funny you're asking all these questions, because I was recently, reflecting on my photographing myself in these certain constructs. And when I say constructs, I'm talking like, let's start from the bathtub. Let's move to like, I did things in my house where I was like disrupting things, of making myself into a lampshade. I'm not sure if you saw that. Where like, no pun intended, but not pun, but my cat is looking in the camera. And so is I'm showing my butt to the camera, and my pussy, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome. This picture was great. For example, I also asked to myself, how did you put your fucking cat there without...
Yeah, but what's interesting is, just going off of what you're saying, but just going back to, for example, like works that I was doing, like from the bathtub to like going to my home in New York, upstate New York, which is up north from New York City, and disrupting those environments. What's interesting is, when I'm done with it, I don't feel a need to do it. So when I look at the bathtubs, I'm just like, I don't feel a need to do that ever again. And because I don't feel trapped, for example. Or like when I was looking like at the black and white image where my cat is there and I'm, facing the camera and we are both looking into the lens of the camera. People were like, wow, you got to go in this direction. It's great. And I'll have to say, during that phase, I was dealing with my own anxieties of, for example, like the idea of getting stuck in a suburban environment. Like I could never. And I'm not dealing with those anxieties anymore. So I don't feel like capturing it, as a matter of fact. Like I don't need to do that. And it's interesting because I'm always presenting in like a really beautiful, refined way, like my own like anxieties or things that I was dealing with, where it's like when you're saying, oh, capture, have you thought about capturing yourself with your partner? This is a place that actually brings me such joy. And I was thinking to myself, why don't I ever capture just like the things that are, that I love life, as a matter of fact, and I love the people that surround me. And I'm always making these very controlled images that are often about my analyzing something that maybe I fear or I feel trapped in or I have anxieties about. And then they end up like, I'm like almost spewing it out in a beautiful, refined image, like once again, that is very controlled. And when you mentioned just like your partner, it's like, it's a space that I feel very free and very joyful. And I'm very curious, why haven't I photographed these type of things? Or like,
so after this podcast, you will set all the house a live show 24 hour, putting camera everywhere, GoPro everywhere, and filming and taking picture of everything happen. And the results, what else is the results? This is what I love, my point of view, because I also was thinking like you in the past, and I was also constructing some images, and I was not, and I was really frustrated then because I was not able to take the picture like I had in my mind. And then I understood that photography is not, will never construct the images I have in my mind, because the images I have in my mind, they are a mix of different influences, different dream, and even sometimes stuff you cannot really create. I know, for example, years ago, I was really paranoid, addicted to understand how to catch the smell of something. I studied a lot about that, but even if I recreate this smell, I could never recreate that moment that really rarely in your life that you go out from a door and you smell something, connect you to something else happened like when you was 2 years old.
Like that nostalgic kind of smell, or like that brings you to childhood.
And then you have just to live that moment. You have to be in that moment. You cannot create some kind of moment. And then I started to appreciate to photography as photography is a moment just to take, to accumulate. And then the most beautiful part for me is when you select, because you are there. You can watch your story as your story, or even passing a lot of years, you can be totally distant from this story and seeing more. And from this moment to another, going to create a totally different story, and then creating something that other people see in a totally different way from you. And this create words, create way to think, creates provocation, creates a lot of different emotion, touch us. And I admire that you are able to construct the images. I don't know. Your partner seems so fucking friendly. I would love to see what is your life with him.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You know, it's interesting of just what you're saying of you know, how do you present these ideas or these experiences or these moments, you know, and like it's so hard to do because you can see it and you can feel it emotionally and you can smell it, you can taste it, I don't know, in your mind, in your being, but it can be difficult to like portray that, for example, in an image. And I like, as an artist or as a creative or whatever words you want to apply to you know, making art or taking photos, it's just I feel like I have so much work, and it's crazy because I still feel so I feel so young as a creative because I still haven't found I still haven't found that sweet spot of the description that you just said. The description of portraying exactly what you are feeling, you're smelling, you're tasting, you're thinking. I have not found yet how fully to do that. And I think that is, for me, photography in, you know, in the beginning of my career. And I say that in the beginning because I see myself being an artist until the day I die. It's like oxygen. There's no other way of doing it. You can't live without oxygen. I can't breathe without creating each day. And it's interesting where my practice, I'm starting to, the past couple of years, or let's just say year and a half, I've seen it expand into making spaces. So even maybe I have like a photograph in that space, but I want spaces that people can walk through. And this is where like my practice is suddenly changing into installation a bit, or where I'm applying like sculptural pieces or elements that there are smells in the spaces that you can create. And I feel as though each day I'm getting closer and closer to the way that I want to present an idea or concept or an intimate moment. But it's so interesting because my portfolio or archive at this point is predominantly photographic, but I feel such a shift in my mind and how I want to present things. And it's not at all to discredit photography because that's always my base and it's what I've done predominantly. But in everything that you were just describing and how do you get closer to present that thing that you want to present, I have found myself like wanting more to build spaces that people can experience three-dimensionally rather than two-dimensionally by looking at a photograph. And this is something very new. This is something very new that I've entered. But it excites me. It excites me. I think like as artists, we need to always, I feel once we feel we really know ourselves, it becomes stale. I think we have to strive to want to dig deeper and why is it that we're doing this, or how do I do this? Or I think that striving and that curiosity should never leave. So and if it does, I think that's when the stale part happens, or stagnance, and or becoming complacent. But you're planting seeds in my head. I'm questioning now. Why have I not?
Why?
These things that bring joy.
Because now our podcast will be done, but this creates the moment and the occasion to make another podcast to talk about what my seeds.
Emiliano, I feel like we should keep talking, but are you telling me we're running out of time?
So I thank you a lot for this another really nice talk with you. And this was Loreal de Paris. No, this was Loreal Prystaj. And her work will be in the link in the description. And I hope you appreciate this 50-minute in 5 parts of experience.
You know, Emiliano, I appreciate it more than my words can express. I appreciate asking questions that really have gotten me, just simply thinking about my own practice, and irrelevant to practice, but just, why is it that I do what I am doing? And this is, we're always asked so many questions about the work. I really appreciate your asking. I really feel like you were asking me questions, irrelevant of the work, but about me and why. And so I thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Learn more about our project at allmylinks.com/BerlinExplorer or visit our Instagram and follow Berlin Explorer Project.